Hello, beautiful souls. So today is a rainy day. I'm sitting out in the porch with the plants, and the family is out, so I got some time to myself. And I've been thinking today about how, you know how you get into these mind loops, and it only takes like 1 second of a comparison to somebody or something else for you to doubt yourself. I used to really enjoy flipping cards. I just enjoyed doing it, and I'd have 3 decks at a time and have my whole table covered with them, and I wouldn't just intuitively read or read what the card meant, but I would look for the archetypes throughout. And it's seeing these archetypes in the cards, in movies, in the plays, in the play of life, that actually was one of the things that really spurred on my ascension or growth. And I want to put it here that I believe ascension is something that is always happening. We're always, no matter how many times we come back here, we're always, or whatever form we're in, we're always ascending to a higher form, a higher frequency, a different domain within maybe this 3D or some other D. I use the word D, but to me it's a frequency. Frequency domains, maybe the D for that. But I wanted to talk about flipping cards and how I kind of lost a lot of those abilities when I went through my person saying they were my higher self to and a twin, an evil twin, which I just think I met another frequency of myself now. But when I was with that person, because they were draining my life force purposely, I lost a lot of abilities. Now, I'm not going to say this person did not give me a fighting chance, because they did. But they also were not, they are without knowing, but, people ask who's God, and then the people that are evil will say, God's just me and my highest good and my highest potential. But then, to me, everything is God and everything is the ancestors. So even if a narcissist or a psychopath or someone who's taken the apart of dissension or annihilation or shaitan, or God forbid I say the Shiva, but those of you who know what I'm talking about know that I'm not talking about something bad and evil. But there are imbalances of that, which I wrote an article on yesterday and talked about. But I want to talk right now about how I really wanted to flip cards, and I really felt like that was my calling, and that before, the big surge 2017, on YouTube, I had wanted to start and had started my videos then and wanted to start doing my work. I had a studio for my drumming and my Reiki and all the arts I practiced with healing and stuff. But it never took off because I was never in a stable place to do that. Whether that was mentally or where I was living or both, it just never worked out. So I think some days I'll think, damn, I probably wouldn't have gone through all the horrible things I went through if I had had my tarot channel up and I had been channeling and doing the things that I was called to do, because I would have had an income. But like when I think about it, there was never a choice or a chance or a possibility until now for me to ever really do any of those things. So I love flipping cards, and now that I understand archetypes to the point that I can watch someone a little while, which I had an even better ability to do before, but it's coming back, and I could literally tell you who they were in the storyline, down to where their frequency was resonating from, like say, this person's negative side of Jupiter, because I've been talking about that a lot lately, so maybe you can resonate. Like if you put on something like, say, the Once Upon a Time, and you're watching a TV series or you're reading a book, and I've had this capability all my life of just being, that's that character, that's this character, that's that character. And I could always pick out the villain and know when a story, or pretty much close to how a story, was going to end. And the reason being is that people play out archetypes. And as a child being severely abused, sometimes, I've said this before in other videos I've taken down, but the disassociation becomes sort of a spiritual art form. And also, I've mentioned in other videos before, until I was about 12 years old, almost every single night, I got taken away by something I'd call the chaos energy, or the big people. When I was little, I used to say the big people were coming when I would fall asleep and I'd have night terrors. I could feel myself leaving my body, and it wasn't always a good experience at all. And like I said, my Christian background schooled me in the negativity of that. But then when I got a little older and the people started literally developing characters so that when the energy came down and it embodied figures I could see, then it just got too freaky and creepy for me. And in the religious mindset I was in at that point as a child. And so I've always had the ability to sort of disassociate it when it comes to abuse and my abusers, because I've gotten abused badly since I was little. Not now, not in my life presently. Though, you know, like, people from my past are still trying to affect me and play their dumb games and shit. The way I see them now, because I can read characters and archetypes, and this is one of the beautiful things about learning shadow work with your own tarot decks and your own tarot. Not that the collective readings are not wonderful and good, and I recommend them on here. And I have a Facebook thing that's all for Scorpios. It's called All Scorpio, which is kind of, that channel's really devolved, and I just gave it off to my daughter to manage. But it originally started as a platform for me to express the things that I do here on now, and my art and spiritual talks, but nobody did anything but argue, of course. The shaitans and the love lights and the I'm just growing and everybody's got to have their opinion and their voice and their expression. We're in that age. So that's what it's about. You know, everyone in the Aquarian age, the transition to it is going to get their little bit of fame. And that's what we're all kind of doing in this moment. And so I see that coming true. So flipping cards, I love to do. I love to watch, but I love to see the collective mindset that comes out in public tarot. I myself would do it a little bit different, but I learned to do that with people. So say, like, people acted in a certain pattern, I would know that they were the bad guy or the criminal, but I would know that if it was my place to learn to balance or transmute those energies in myself, that I would be willing to work with that people, and had in a past life worked with gangs and gangster type energy. And then I got embroiled in that again with a relationship, trying to, you know, move out of a bad marriage and get my daughter a home. And we were all going through some crazy, wild spiritual stuff that it was on the negative side, and just attacked so much we were never sleeping. And one of my daughters never regained her capacity, you know, after the spell work. There was spell work done on us. And also, you know, spell work in the line of my family and shamanically things coming out. And when you decide to go on the shamanic path, whether or not anyone agrees with me, you can find that out yourself. It's in the older books. Sorry, I got distracted by a bird. It's in the older books that when you start journeying down within yourself and you meet your guides shamanically, shaman, in the tree, in the life tree, metaphorically, visualizing, going down into the roots, meeting your animal helpers, teachers, guides, it puts you into Middle Earth, here. And in shamanism, I avoided the middle realm, because it tends to be where it's more like the dream state, and you can get lost in there. And I did, and my family did, and we did for a while, and I talk about it. And that happened here in this frequency domain. But it was a low ass frequency. And it was because the information that I had asked for in my astral, angelic, and lower dimensional travels, I asked for these things to show me something. And because I refused the Middle Earth and the shamanic path of because I wasn't ready for it, I had to be prepared for it, and I had to learn here, this way, in this dream state, like in the physical world with my eyes opening, experiencing fourth dimensional creatures and angels and demons and that whole storyline. So the tarot here is literally a living spiritual thing. So it means a ton to me. So I look at these women and people that I follow that channel, and they do card readings. So they have 1.k whatever to my 80 followers. And sometimes I get on myself and I think, what am I doing wrong that, I'm not taking myself seriously enough to make an income, or I'm not pulling cards when I could, which I can't. And I could pull one like right now, but it's only ever always going to be exactly like the Hermetic Tarot is, exactly everything that's going on in my life right now. And if I read from that space, though I am tapped into the collective shamanically, I'm going to read it from my own shadow and my own shadow wounds in my own space. And until I can get to a place where I can, to me, not others, not judging them, I can read from the collective right in my physical life in the moment as a shamanic practice while tapping into the energy of the collective. I don't need cards to do that. I've said that before. Like, I can scry in water, I can scry in mirrors, I can scry in clouds, I can scry in fire. And so more that's been important to me for some reason, because of me being led, is that I need to start shaping and forming some rituals, which Spirit told me years ago I was going to be doing, and I balked totally at that by comparing myself to others and disagreeing with the way they did things. But I was too immature then. And so I need to get into a space where I'm comfortable filming ritual. And to me, like, everybody is doing all this stuff that I'm already doing. Like, Hai Lung is doing public ritual. That's a band I mentioned before. It should be in my abouts. And these different tarot readers that I completely resonate with, they are getting the message out. I don't need to get the message out. I just need to do me and do my thing. So when the rituals come, I may and probably will record them. But I'm just like, go to a musical ritual, go to these things, like participate in these things. Whatever it is you think you're involved in, whether it's the satanic, shaitanic, Shiva, dark side of things, or it's the Luciferian high white light brotherhood, blah, 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 I'm too good kind of thing. And yeah, I am going to put these two things down. Because why? Because there's a central point inside oneself, inside yourself and me, and that's a distraction from it. Yet, though, at the same time, when you look at it, it is the archetypes that you need to see in your life playing out in front of you in minute forms like a fairy tale. So when I work with males in my life that I've been called to work with, I know what character they are. I know that they're playing Rumpelstiltskin or the Beast or the Shaitan or the, like my mate told me all the archetypes that he was in the beginning, and I thought like why does it matter? We both know that we're here being the polar opposites of each other. Only the thing that matters is the frequency of the twin flame or not, and what one wants of the world and what one doesn't want of the world. So it's not about the good, bad, and the ugly, but about, and I misunderstood their intentions and where they were feeding their energy to and what they were involved in and how they were being held down into this satanic groups and rituals and beings they have worked with, and what they owe the angels, which are going to slap their faces in the frickin' dirt hard as hell pretty soon if they don't leave off, because it's happening all around us in the world, which I said 7 years ago. And one of the reasons why these people hated and loved me at the same time was because I was predicting all this stuff in my writing, in my poetry. I was writing to and mocking the Illuminati, or the demigods that think that they're everything here of the two sides. You know, that I got a triangle here, I got a triangle here, you know. These opposing forces. And the Jupitarian, this is Jupiter, third eye. The Jupitarian flow of the left eye, the red eye, or, you know, the black eye, the reptilian eye. This is why I mentioned Rumpelstiltskin being a reptilian in the story Once Upon a Time, and also being the beast. And so you lump together, you learn to lump together these criminal things. And it's funny because even in the movie Once Upon a Time, which I will put in the abouts down below so I don't get in trouble for mentioning it, it shows the bad guy, the opposing left-hand negative force, the man, as a reptilian. He's the Dark Lord. His sword said Zozo or Zoso, which is the guardian of the gates through left-hand path, Ouija board, and other witchcraft and demonic stuff. 4D meaning in that storyline. And then, you know, you've got Belle, and she's multiple people. So, like, I love how in Once Upon a Time they're showing these archetypes. And for me, channeling right now, being the current between the two, do I want to stand in the gap as a person who prepares ceremony, or do I just want to live my life? Because I have that choice right now, and the collective is giving this choice right now. Do you want to repeat and be what you were in the past and feel uninspired because you already did all that, you just don't remember and you're recalling it now? Or do you want to ascend into your Luciferian love light, blah, blah, blah? Or do you want to ascend into your truth self, which is your north node, which is your own north node, which means whatever fractals you were attached to, your higher self, what you believe higher selves are. And this is where I differentiate between, you know, like how I connect to RJ Spina, which is, he's wonderful. I'm not putting him down at all. But like his work isn't just like Tufti the Priestess's is, but he acknowledges the person that brought in those concepts is brilliant in their own way. Just we're not the same fractal. He names certain fractals he's part of, and we're not the same exactly. So we're going to fractal, shine out, put forth difference through our Jupitarian flow. So to me, this is Jupiter. And this is, you know, like in here, the two eyes are the white and the dark, the opposing forces of Jupiter. Jupiter and the rings around the head. You know, this what's going on right now in Jupiter is happening in our bodies astrologically. This is how I used to channel before. Wow, I can't believe there's already 18 minutes gone by. So I'm sorry for that, but I'm just like, there's no time when I do this. So being in this Jupiterian flow, do you want to create from your wisdom and knowledge and understanding of the past tense and the future tense storylines here? Or do you want to get in your center as your north node, as your pole star, as your thing that directly connects to your ancestors, and get all the information you need and put it to sleep? And when you're embroiled in these fairy tale storylines tightly like I am, where I have these crazy Illuminati and Luciferian and Catholic and you name it, all this crazy stuff I'm trying to resolve in my family storyline, like, do I want to continue that, or do I want to get into my Juju Jupiterian Godhead flow. I am not sending that outside of me. It's part of me out there. But how do I want to be that in me, in my center? How do I envision my highest if there were no left, right, left? How do I envision my highest place in my third eye, in myself, in my crown? And I learned that by doing these ceremonies and reading cards and channeling to get into the flow of what is higher, my crown chakra, and then on into my God ancestors' highest potential. And now I know that I am all that and have always been all that and will always be all that. What do I want to bring all that creativity down and be? Do I want to continue to age and get sick for my Shaitanic Luciferian yin-yangy friend? Or do I want him to just say, hey, you know what, everything we went through, just remember, my love is a reminder, find your center. And really, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing what I love. I'm crafting, I'm fixing stuff. I'm having a good time with my children, sometimes to the point where I'm like, you know, this is so beautiful, it's not real. It's like a dream. Sorry, I got distracted by a bird right when I said that. So to confirm, the messages from heaven, because as I said in my last videos, birds are that. So, yeah, what you need to learn to do with cards. So I'll talk about that in the next video and how you can channel through cards to find yourself, your Jupitarian flow and your highest potential. Not the collective. Use the collective storylines and the tarots out there and the people you love to get what's going on in the whole circular play of the yin-yang in your life and how that relates to you. But then how can you use that to be your highest potential, which is the whole point in cards. So I want to talk and make a video about shadow, which I put up a video in my videos. There is a video about how to do shadow tarot readings on yourself, how to place the cards and what they mean. But higher up from that, you have to be that. Crowning is being all those things. Crowning is seeing you are all those things. You are the ancestors you are. Let this, excuse me, I got the hiccups. Let the stories play out around you. How much of you that you've never been in your other lifetimes and never had the opportunity to channel and be, who do you want to be? Who do you want that to be? If there was no distraction, no left, no right, no storylines of, oh, the world's going to end. No, we're at the precipice of perfect change. What does it matter? You know, like, what does it matter? There's always something going on here. Always the distractions and the flow, whether it's in your personal life or in the collective, grander and grander. So the collective has to see themselves and come into this Jupitarian God flow and realize God is not out there where we all put him in the wormy hole, but in here, okay? Not these left, right, left, Illuminati, heart, chakra, taking over this side, that side thingy. I don't want to be there. I'm done with those storylines. And so there's few people my channel will probably relate to in that respect, because I'm not wanting to look out and teach you to look out. Like RJ Spina, I want you to look in and find the tricks of the trade, to look within yourself, which I talked about, spending 4 days in the dark not talking. 3 nights, 4 days, 4 days, 4 nights, 3 days, whichever way you want to do it. But depending on how much you balance yourself in the cycles of the sun or the moon determines which one rules in that situation. Getting in the dark, doing ceremony, whether you're in a cave with other people doing ceremony, which I would love to facilitate, right? But right now in my life, I am not in the position where I can do all these dream work things in the physical world. So I need to sit back and be thankful for the brothers and sisters that are doing them. So I can sit here and be me and flow in what I am and possibly my highest potential while they hold space and ceremony. And so to me, even my enemies or my frenemies, like I call them, that's what they're doing for me. And so I can sit back now as a crone kick back and just love where I am right now. And keep doing these ceremonies for myself because I can't stop. It's naturally who I am and just what happens to me when I'm in the flow of my highest self. But all said and done, my highest self isn't you. And, even with having a mate that is like Beauty and the Beast storyline, I've had that multiple times in my life. Do I want to be that and hold space for that person? I think I would like to do it from a space of being in my not my tower that falls, but my Scorpio tower with my books and my telescopes and my channels and the things I love to do, the crafts I love to do, like an alchemist mixing chemicals. It's me and my herbs and my mushrooms and my crafts, and that's what I want to do. And I'm doing it, to the best of the ability in my moment. But I kind of get down on myself with the whole income and money thing because, it's a distraction if I allow it to be, because everybody around me, even though I have a roof over my head and food in my mouth and everything I need, there is the constant distractions of people telling me I don't deserve it, I can't have it, I should be fighting against it, I shouldn't be fighting, blah, 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 blah. And I am just sitting here waiting for Spirit to tell me what to do. Not lead me by the ring in my nosy here, like it used to have to be when I was constantly yin-yanging, but just put that into the soul. I want this. Wouldn't it be nicer if we could have this? Wouldn't it be nicer if we could do this? But all, in the end, I'm leaving it to you. Because when the vision pours forth from my heart, pure and clear, I can't help but live, move, and walk and be in it. It's not a resistance. It just will happen around me. And I don't mean by the towers and horrible, scary, evil ways it used to happen, but by the everything serving my highest good, not in a Luciferian way of because I'm better or I deserve or white light, blah, blah, blah. No, because this is biologically how you work when you're in the flow of your astrology. And as the Hopi Indians and my ancestors would say, it's time to be in the flow. And whether or not they understand this, and I think they do with ceremony, as we all do, when we're practicing the ceremony and the things we love, which are a ceremony, we get into our space. And I think I'm going to use up all the video space on my phone. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to split this. So this is what you do when you're in that creative space, what I did when I danced and flowed and did all these things, drumming, ceremony, these things I love to do on earth. So now I am just sitting back and saying, okay, so right now I can't dance and I can't do the things that I used to do, or so I thought. The other day down at the water, I was totally channeling and totally able to be in my higher self that does all the yogi standing on the edge of a rock, which I couldn't really almost do in 2 years. Well, maybe a year, a little. So that energy is coming back in and ministering to me as I again allow myself to open up without fear to all the storylines, all the archetypes. Now, why do I say that? Am I opening up and letting up a lot, saying, oh, let the predators come in, que sera, sera? No. Let everything move through you because it is you living as you, and all it wants to do is serve you in balance. But until you see it from this point, which remember I told you I had this pop open and bleed last year? Yeah, that had to do with bad spell work too, but this bad spell work has always worked for my highest good and potential. So, that's what I'm trying to say to you. Like when you get into this space and know yourself as one creator with God, and you allow yourself to get into your flow and you stop fearing the sacrifice of the love light or this yay, nay, that person, this person, bovid, constrictions, the government, when you stop all that and these groups and these cults and these Luciferian figure it all out stuff, you just flow and it just flows into you and you just know. You don't need to go out and rob someone else's light or switch places with them or or play games of taking life force, which, gee, once upon a time with love, that used to be the blackbirds and the crows and the ravens fed each other mouth to mouth, not like killed. But then again, what are you going to do if you're imbalanced and you're in the dark? It used to be the love and the light shared with the darkness. And I can't get all into the archetypes of that right now, but those of you who know those fairy tales and those stories of our family lines will understand what I'm talking about. So, yeah, now it's like me, be like me, my way or the highway. And so, like I've said before, both of these groups are cutting their arms off, But that's okay, because maybe they'll come to their center. And the dark shite from both sides of the Luciferian love, light, BS, and the dark necrotic sides of the darkness, their filth is being raised up right now all over the world, because they are being the example, as they are archetypes and characters in a play here, of the fact that their darkness is being revealed. So sit back, let the journey unfold. Don't be so intense about something till Spirit makes it intense in you. And you don't have to share. I think as I get more into my craft, maybe, in my center and calmness, I will probably share more with youth and share these archetypes more like stories and storylines and fairy tales again, because that's what I've reduced them to. And I'm not saying I don't get mad and I don't have feelings anymore, but when I get mad, I can get into my place and be like, not real. Archetypes, storylines, not going to get mad. Everything serves my highest good. Jupiter isn't these eyes and that flow. Jupiter is this right here, not this and this. This. So when that Jupiter is in alignment, and also if you look up the chakra of the third eye chakra, there are other names and other archetypes of gods that existed before as Jupiter in that, other planets too. So look that up. But then you can move into the archetypes of your crown, your crowning achievements in your astrology, in the earth, as above, so below, as within, so without. We're all doing this right now. It's a collective shadow work story. So, and then when you're in rest is how you can influence that in a major way. Sitting down as the Christ next to the god Jupiter, excuse me. But yeah, I guess technically that's not a faux pas. Maybe that's not a Jungian. Yeah, maybe more like, what's the other guy with his pineal envy? But anyways, I digressed as a joke. So yeah, get into the flow of the Christ, of the singular channel, the mid chakra. That's the Christ flow. Look into what this chakra is and means and what it does and how it connects you to your pole star and everything around you, so that you can implode through your Taurian field, and then the Taurian field of all, and all above that and all above that, ever on. So I only have days when I'm down, when I connect with and hurt from the storylines that we all already know how they play out. If the person wants to play those archetypes, they're going to be that archetype. And you can't stop them. They're going to play into it, or they're going to be devoured by it instead of rising above. And I know what work and suffering and horrors that takes. And I can't expect it of everyone. All I can do is love and be in my flow and sit in my space and love me, and let the other come up if they come up. And if the other one's swept away by the tide, they're going to be swept away by the tide. But I think we are out of the lowest point of the Kali age. We're out of the fire now. I've been channeling that since 2017, the fire. And the fire happened in my life and came in and through me too, and in the whole earth. And that's subsiding now. But like I said, when the fire subsides, there's no more trees and the earth is exposed, and you see the burial mounds, and you see the lightning coming down, and you see how no trees affects the storms on the earth, and we get dust bowls, so shit gets stirred up. While things are healing, The shite's going to get stirred up. And it's not evil, it's beautiful. And so every day that I can get back into my heart space, unhitch from the pain of the story. There's not suffering, there's pain. You got to let the suffering go. And that was my hardest lesson. It took 55 years almost, you know? But it's doable. And it's doable for everyone if it's doable for me, because I'm a simple person. And yeah, even when I was channeling the Hopi stuff from the Hopi Star, against my ancestors, that already all happened, you know? And is happening. And that's okay. So thank you for your time. Learn about your archetypes. Pay attention to the fairy tales around you. We used to joke in my home how our life was like the Bennett household in Jane. Why do I want to say Jane Eyre? It's not. So the Bronte sisters, because I can't think of the main character in the story right now, but in our house, we would jokingly laugh. The Bennets, so this woman acts like that, and that's this character, and that's this. And my kids and I would crack up laughing about that because we could see people acting out their archetypes and being so completely lost in them. So this is part of awakening when you see these archetypes, and then you learn to use them for yourself. Then you learn to transmute them from yourself, and then you learn to just rest and let the storyline go on around you. And there are many people doing that right now. And R.J. Spina has one of the stories to do it. So I'm thankful for him, but you know, you all got to find your own way. And the own ways are a little bit different for everybody, and you've got to find your way to get through. So thank you for letting me talk about channeling, talk about my life, because this is a vlog, and talk about my growth, and talk about my birds, talk about my family, talk about my plants. Look at my plants. Loving plants. My dad is a horticulturist and has got me back into plants and crafting, because I will put up pictures of the family frog/turtle, 2 storylines there that I've been fixing. I'll put pictures up of them on my community page. And what that meant to me. It meant a lot for me to be able to fix that. Wrapping up my Black Moon Lilith stuff completely in my life has been amazing and clearing. So thank you so much for sharing this time with me.